Hello, my name is Teresita Blanco. It's been a while since I've done a King's Story, so let's just bite into it. Let me finish the sound test first. Can you hear me now? Alright, that seems to be just about right. Alright. All of a sudden, hundreds of knights emerged from the depths of the valley. Clad in armor and now with crossbows, they point their arrows at Ralph. As more and more knights appear, the blood drains from his face. It is then that Ralph notices the emblem on their armor, and his eyes widen. These aren't your knights, they belong to Roy the Tyrant. I hope to have allies to do ambushes and whatever. Like it's been a while since I had enough resources to move the plot along. Oh yeah, there's Halloween, by the way. Probably just stay home. It's not like a good Halloween situation in my neighborhood. Radlo's terrified as he realizes that your reinforcements were sent by Roy. You calmly look at him. So about that shot, what do you think, Ralph? Ralph stares at and his face is a mix of anger and fear. Not a chance in hell. I will never betray Kevin. I'll choose death over betrayal. That's all well and good up until the part where you start experiencing death in the form of stabby or medieval type of torture and whatever. Almost at the next story beat. He looked astonished. And what did Kevin give you? And how did he manage to wrap it around his little finger? When he talks about Kevin, Ralph's expression filled with immense pride, and he gave me the respect I deserve. Really? Are you sure he isn't just using you? That's all it took, not money, not nothing. I guess it down every super villain just wants to be taken serious. Every villain wants to be taken serious by a super villain or whatever. Then again, getting proper disrespect in this day and age is hard to come by. Like everyone after the lockdown just like became insta irritable. That makes sense after all that, but still, that doesn't mean that like folks should be like awful to each other just because they went through hell. Your question sends Ralph into a rage. And following feminine anger, Your Highness, you better stop provoking me. I just asked you a simple question. After all, Kevin has always been sneaky and we grew up together and he still fools me regularly. Yeah, that they didn't character for. If anyone knows her childhood friend slash frenemy is the main character. Ross seems shaken by your remark. You keep pressuring him. Didn't he also promise to share all of his wealth and power with you if you stay loyal to him? And you believe him, Ralph. You're the one out here in danger and about to lose your realm and your life. Where is he? I always say, well, giving someone respect is cheap. Cause that doesn't involve actually like lifting a finger to help them if they get into like a dangerous situation. You say, yeah, we respect you, Ralph. Now go die for king and country. Alright, moving along. Ralph looks utterly unshaken. Enough, Your Highness, I don't want to hear any more of this nonsense. Raising himself up on the side he created as his sword, come on then, you coward, let's do this. With a resigned look, you nod, as you wish. As you wish. And to have a knightly duel. I just get past this little mini boss or whatever. Would work better if you can just like skip all of them immediately. Can you hear me now? Alright, good. Just making sure, and I haven't done a mobile live stream in like forever. A bloody battle is about to erupt between you and Ralph. Warriors kill that foe until they will become living legends. Or dead legends, depending on how the battle goes. You'll never defeat me. Knights kill the traitor, and glory will forever be ours. And as your battle cries echo through the valley, your knights draw their swords, slashing and hacking until the mud runs red with blood. Like everyone was stabby, fighting in like medieval ages. We could explain why the population was so low during medieval times. Like everyone just be crazy back then, and if it wasn't that, it was like the plague or something, the Black Plague. Cause they murdered all of the cats, and then they were because the Pope didn't like it wasn't a cat person, and then like the rat population exploded, and their ticks carried the illness. Well, at least that's what historians think happened, and maybe some of like the plague doctors writing notes during the time period. Like in like Erasmo de Rotterdam's biography, he writes about they write about it wasn't a biography he wrote, it was like something somebody wrote. Like he says that Erasmo of Rotterdam he survived the Black Plague because like whenever he heard that a nearby town had like the plague and stuff, he would just like get on his carriage and get the hell out of there. So that's how he survived the pandemic of his medieval time, just like keeping town whenever somebody so much as sneeze in his general direction. But that's not too feasible in modern times because like airplanes and stuff, they're like a breeding ground of diseases and whatever. It's very easy for like everyone to get sick as a whole lot, but let's not talk about that anymore. It's depressing. All hell broke loose as a massive battle rages in the Sunset Valley. You're in complete odds as you was with soldiers in combat, and Roy really has an impressive army. Indeed, this is precisely how he made a name for himself, and we should definitely keep an eye on him. That and his money. And the tyrant part in his name. Well, it seems like we'll be able to advance a lot of the plot and stuff. Or a little bit. How the battle's not take like 4 billion DM soldiers, huh? I'm okay. Greg Roy graciously offered his elite truth to us, and you shouldn't be so ungrateful. You're right, Johanna. I simply wanted to remind you that Roy the Tyrant, as jovial as he may seem, is a venomous snake. Ah, Greg, you think that about everyone. Haha, I'll keep that in mind. You take a deep breath. First things first, we must take care of our enemies. Alright, Ralph, if you didn't want to yield, then off with your head, that's all that. Any minute now. We made it to Friday. I guess it's Halloween. I should mention anything Halloween related, but then again, I don't remember much of off the top of my head. I mean, since this game is like takes place in like medieval time and whatever, then I guess I should mention like witches and stuff. They were very flammable. But most of what I think is that like they were like burning anyone that could perform miracles that wasn't like affiliated with like the Catholic Church, cause like if you do like fancy stuff and like magic and stuff, but you happen to be like a Catholic monk or some, then you're considered a saint. But if you do miracles and stuff, but you're not part of like the Catholic Church, then you're considered a witch. Because that's just how they roll in medieval times. And still kind of now. Rawson finds himself in dire straits as his forces are cut down around him. Utterly distraught, damn you, why don't you protect me? Kill them. Surrender, Ralph, it's not too late. No one else needs to die this day. So yeah, it's like when he says like let's fight, but then he says to his troops like die for me. Yeah, it's easy to be brave when you're like not risking your neck and all that nonsense. And there was also like a lot of like miscellaneous weird magic tomes in circulation in medieval times. And like since I didn't want to be like associated with witchcraft and whatever, then the magic people would like encode it with like a fancy magic writing, but then when the writer dies, and if he didn't pass on the way to decrypt his magic tome, then like you end up with a votive manuscript situation where like historians are still trying to figure out like what does it say. Cause since they don't have like a translation or a reference to another language that they know, then like it's just gibberish to them. Yes, I'll never. Infuriated by your remark, Ross takes a step back and brandishing his sword menacingly. Go to hell. And with his sword firmly in his grasp, Ross dashes out towards you. Guess he wants to duel. But yeah, like the Votish manuscript. Like it's separated into like a couple of sections. One of them, the first part is like botanical stuff, and you get like the silliest drawings of like stylized leaves. But like even the plants that is drawn in like the Votish manuscript doesn't like resemble anything. So either the person who made that magic book didn't know how to draw nature well, or maybe it was just a book that was made as a prank for someone, and in order to get them to waste resources researching whether it's a magic book or not, or maybe it was a serious venture. And the second half of the book is like astronomy and like alchemy. It's like full of like a reference to the stars and like silly little pentagrams and whatnot. Like I actually like looked at it over the top, not like the physical version, just the digital version of the Woolrich manuscript, because it's like being scanned and whatever. It makes a very amusing read, if only just to look at the pictures and like try to figure out what that book is actually like about. You know, try to guess what it could mean. Or maybe just make an unofficial translation of that and pretend that you figured it out. I mean, there's no way for other people to check whether you were figured out or not, because it has no translation. In a last-ditch effort to take your life, Ralph attempts to stab you, but a shocking surprise changes everything. Sir Ralph was a child. A single arrow appears out of nowhere, flying straight towards Ralph's chest. Well, also surprised me that multiple arrows and he shoot out of nowhere. I mean, he's surrounded by enemy soldiers and all that. That's very easy to drop that in medieval times, you know. Or even other way out to like modern times, you know, because like even though most folks can afford modern medicine, they just the stuff that you can buy over the counter is like it makes the humans today survive better than the people back in like medieval times, where even like just a splinter was enough to give you like tetanus or something, and like then you drop dead from an infection. Well, we're getting close to me, almost running out of resources to move the plot along. Ralph freezes in place, unable to move. With his life on the line, he's utterly helpless. Hey, Ralph! Oh! The arrow pierces to the flesh, but Ralph doesn't fall to the ground. Sharp Ralph stares at Thomas' body. Thomas, you? And his bodyguard person saved his dumb life. I wonder just how many folks have actually seen this far into like the plot of teen shows, because like it gets like ridiculously grindy. You get like 2 sentences and then like time to spend like hundreds of resources and whatever. But whatever. So yeah, about the Voynich manuscript. That's not like the only gibberish book that was like running around in like medieval times. I mean, heck, hieroglyphics used to be gibberish writing until Napoleon Bonaparte of all people ran into the Rosetta Stone. And you see, like, what the program that they use for translation, the reason why they call the Rosetta Stone is because of a stone that Napoleon Bonaparte found while looting Egypt, that had a biblical passage that was translated to like Aramaic and Greek and also into ancient Egyptian. And using the text of the Bible alone, they were able to, it had enough words in order to be able to translate the entire ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. Thomas shielded the rat from the little attack, and quickly looking around, you notice a dark figure in the distance holding a crossbow. You frown and point at the figure. That's the assassin, catch him. So yeah, it's interesting that like a Bible verse was the thing that allowed ancient historians to translate not just the ancient Egyptian, but also like other types of writing. So that's why the modern day translation thing is called the Rosetta Stone, which is the thing that Napoleon found. And of course, after that, once the Europeans were finally able to read ancient Egyptian writing, then started the whole Egyptian craze. You know, like the obsession that they had with like mummies. Then we have like with like the advent of television, we had like the first movies of the mummy. And also, even Bram Stoker, who's famous for like his Dracula story, even he took a bite out of writing his own mummy story, which is the Jewel of Seven Stars that features Queen Tera, which is not even like not even a true ancient Egyptian like name. It was a made up Egyptian Egyptian prince queen based on like just whatever flimsy information he was able to dig out from like the local Smithsonian. Like I actually read the Jewel of Seven Star and it was interesting up to a certain point when it got lame. When he realized that you spotted him, the assassin mounts his horse and flees. Realizing you never catch him, you must act quickly. Greg, give me your bullets and arrows. Greg hands them over and you take aim. But yeah, that's basically the Euro 7 stars in a nutshell. Oh yeah, like continue with like the spooky theme. I remember like at least in like Spanish writing, there's like a spooky ghost story from that takes place in like medieval times and whatever. It's by a Spanish writer called Gustavo Alonso Becker. So if you're like an English speaker, you may not have heard of it. So like there was like this bunch of knights that were slumming in a decaying cathedral, and then they run into like a mausoleum where it had a woman praying right next to her husband. So then like one of the knights gets like really really drunk, and then he starts leering at the female statue. And then after a certain point, he tells the husband statue, "You don't mind if I give a kiss to your wife? I wanna see if I made that stony marble face blush." So then, since the drunken knight goes to kiss the female statue, the husband statue, in a fit of jealousy, becomes animated, and then he punches the knight right in the face for kissing his statue wife. So then, like, they run away screaming because, like, a statue moving out of the blue in like a spooky cemetery type of setting that scared them good. The long and short of it is, don't be kissing sketchy statues in like totally haunted, decaying mausoleum cemetery. Cause some husbands like they're like super jealous that even from beyond the grave, if you like start leering at his wife, he'll punch you from beyond the grave. As the arrow strikes, the assassin cries out in pain and tumbles to the ground. Greg goes see if he's still alive. Yes, Your Highness. Yeah, like speaking of punchy statue, like the thing something similar happened to they call it in English Don Giovanni, but he's based on Don Juan Tenorio, which is the famous womanizer guy, and then he kills a woman's husband, and then he goes to laugh at the guy's he goes to laugh at the guy's he goes to dance on top of his enemy's grave while poking fun at him that now he's no longer able to stop him from sleeping with his wife. So then like the statue of the dead guy becomes animated, and then like he says that he's gonna like take him to hell in like a week and enjoy what little time he has left on planet Earth. So then in Don Giovanni, I think Don Juan repents for his sins, and he feels sorry for his womanizing ways and all of that, and then he begs for his life and is forgiven. While in the Spanish version, the convidado de piedra, or like the stone knight, takes Don Juan to hell after giving him a royal beating. So yeah, it just depends, but it makes sense that the English version will go for like happy ending, because that's just like what's fashionable in like the Americans and stuff, and even in Britain, that like happily ever after type of situation. Nobody likes to see the main character die in the end of his stories, except maybe Shakespeare, more Shakespeare stuff, but that's a different story. As a great if you look over at Ralph is still holding Thomas's dead body, and his face is filled with grief, confusion, and fear. You sign, Kevin never intended to share anything with you. And what's really your usefulness? Well, you can see for yourself. But yeah, there you have it. Do I remember any other medieval spooky type of story? Well, I guess I could but then again, I guess I could do the Edgar Allan Poe, but those being done to death. I'm more of an H.P. Lovecraft fan. But then again, nothing like comes to my mind and whatever. This Midsummer Night Dream kind of spooky. Well, it's a bunch of like play people getting like tormented by like the fairies and like the ancient Greek gods of like the woods and stuff. Or in a weird dispute over the ownership or something or someone. I forget. So yeah. Let me see one that you may not have heard. Like in school, they tend to read usually they read like in school they usually read the Odyssey, but never the Iliad. And you know why? Cause like in the Odyssey they have like they read like it's almost like gods and it's more like adventures, and they even made like a movie out of it. But the Iliad is like a flat out war, like very bloody. They even have like a scene where Homer describes that the guy got gaffed like a fish. Gaffed is like a spear passed right through your mouth, and then it came out the other side, and then he said that you get lifted from like the face. So yeah, that's why they don't read that book in like school and whatnot. Ralph doesn't say a word. Thomas's body is still clad in his arm. You smart, Ralph. How can you be so naive? Ralph struggles to part his lip. You don't know that Kevin sent him. Greg comes back and stands by your side. No, I mean, there's lots of assassins roaming around. It could also have been like a random hunter that just misfires thinking that you were a deer or something. Or maybe just an opportunistic like serial killer. Somebody that kind of like all of those weird drivers that like roam around in like Florida at night. Like it is dangerous to try to cross any Florida street. Yeah, more than once somebody has gotten run over. Yeah, no, and since they haven't caught the guy yet, it's still happening. Oh well, that's as much as we can. That's as much as I was able to advance in King's Choice. I hope you found what I read to you amusing. Bye bye and God bless. Happy Halloween.